Picture two people starting their adult lives with absolutely nothing. Fast forward 10 years, and one of them has built significant wealth, while the other is still standing in the exact same spot. It is tempting to look at that massive gap and attribute it to luck, finding a specific network, or being in the right place. But the real division happens deep inside the human skull. Our brains are hardwired for immediate, short-term survival, and that biological baseline often traps individuals in poverty. Looking at a simplified model of the brain, we see three primal nodes driving behavior: instant comfort, physical safety, and tribal status. To escape zero, a person must execute an evolutionary override, a deliberate wave of logic that overrides those instincts. Escaping absolute zero requires a physiological war against your own neurological defaults. The first biological hurdle is the brain's relentless demand for instant gratification. When you start with zero, daily life is highly stressful, and the brain constantly searches for ways to soothe that immediate discomfort. This often leads to spending whatever small amount of money is available to buy temporary relief. A nicer meal or a small luxury briefly alleviates the stress, but it drains the capital needed for future mobility. This chart tracks that behavior over time. The bottom line represents the cycle of short-term spending, constantly dipping back to zero. But the top line shows a different path. Wealth builders manually override the urge for comfort, holding that line flat and tolerating the daily pain of doing without. Because they endure that initial flat period, their saved resources eventually begin to compound. This creates a divergence that grows larger every year, eventually creating a level of wealth the bottom line can never reach. By mastering their own reward system, they stop using time to manage their stress and start using it as an asset to build freedom. The second biological default you have to fight is the threat response. Deep within the human brain, the amygdala constantly scans for unpredictability, and it rejects anything it cannot control. This is why many avoid financial risk entirely. Without a guaranteed paycheck or a clear outcome, the brain perceives the lack of certainty as a literal physical danger. We can visualize this internal conflict here. These chaotic red dots represent the temporary emotions that stall decision-making: embarrassment, frustration, or the fear of rejection. Wealth builders push an unwavering path through that noise, decoupling their long-term decisions from their immediate feelings. That emotional control leads to a high tolerance for the unknown. They train themselves to take decisive, consistent action long before any guaranteed results exist. Neutralizing the brain's panic response allows a person to navigate volatility without retreating, creating a significant competitive advantage over those who only act when safety is guaranteed. The third biological default is our deep-seated tribal need. Humans are wired to seek out social belonging, group identity, and external validation from the people around us. In environments of scarcity, poverty easily becomes a permanent identity. People begin to internalize the idea that wealth is reserved for a different category of human being. Those who successfully rise from zero dismantle that self-image. They adopt the identity of a wealth builder long before their bank accounts show any evidence of it. While the average person might chase the appearance of success to prove their status to the tribe, the self-made individual focuses quietly on acquiring valuable, unglamorous skills. By ignoring the need for external validation, they redirect all their energy toward the mechanical abilities that generate capital. When you trace the trajectory of people who build wealth from nothing, you find that specific mental behaviors are the primary predictors of success. We can map this as a psychological buffer. Look at this model. The jagged outer ring represents the unpredictability of the external environment. The smooth inner core is a protected mental state, insulated from the chaos outside. Mastering the biological overrides for comfort, fear, and status ensures that daily behavior falls into alignment with that future-focused inner core. External circumstances take years to change, but the cognitive patterns driving them can be adopted today. The struggle to build wealth from zero is largely a struggle against the brain's innate wiring. By winning that internal conflict, a person aligns their daily habits with the mathematical requirements of long-term growth.